Hey, what is up you guys, it's Nacho here, and today I am bringing you the introduction of my series of how to get an MOAB in depth. I know a lot of you are having trouble getting MOABs or MOABs or MOABs, however you want to pronounce them. I know some of you are having trouble getting them in Modern Warfare 3, and this series is going to be an in-depth guide on how to get MOABs and what to do and how to read maps. All this stuff I'm going to be going over each individual episode. I don't know how long this will carry out for because I'm going to go very in-depth with map positions, PowerPoints, created classes, all this stuff that basically comes together to help you get MOABs. So for the introduction of this video, I just decided to tell you guys for the first episode, I would just let you guys know what created class you should use and how you should make it. So let's get started with that. So right here I reset this class just to show you guys. Now normally when picking a weapon you want to go for an MOAB with, it would be best to choose an assault rifle, but that's just personal preference. So for those of you who don't know, there are different run speeds for each weapon or each weapon category. The assault rifles, they run at a 95% run speed. The submachine guns, they run at a 100% run speed, you know, makes sense because they're the smallest weapons. Light machine guns run at an 87.5% run speed, which is very, very slow. Sniper rifles run at 100% run speed. Shotguns are 100%, and also the riot shield is 100%. Now, I know that doesn't seem like a big factor, but when deciding on what weapon you want to use on what map and how you want to play out that game type, you know, it really does make a big difference. So for my personal preference when going for MOABs, I tend to stick to the assault rifles and the submachine guns just because they seem to have the most versatility between all the weapons. Now, when choosing an assault rifle, you want to keep in mind you want to use an assault rifle that you are most comfortable with. Now, let's say for instance, the ACR, that is my personal favorite assault rifle. I am the most comfortable when using the ACR. Now, this doesn't mean that you guys have to like the ACR. When picking a gun, you don't want to pick what the commentator tells you to pick, you know. When I pick a gun, I try to pick a gun that I think is well balanced and something that feels good in my hands, you know, that's what she said. But I like to pick something that feels comfortable when I'm using it, you know. I feel like I could go into any gunfight and win every single gunfight, and for me personally, I just feel like that's the ACR 6.8 in Modern Warfare 3. But you know, for some of you guys might like the Type 95, the FAD, the MK14, you know, there's a bunch of different choices. Now keep in mind, I would tend to stay away from the N4, the M16, the SCAR L, and the CM901, simply because those assault rifles seem to put out the lowest damage output for like fire rate. You know, the CM I think has the slowest fire rate. The M16 is really not a well balanced weapon. You know, it's a 3-round burst. If you get into a close quarters matchup, it's not that great. And the M4 and SCAR L, you know, there are better choices out there, so I would just tend to stay away from them. So when picking an assault rifle, obviously you want to keep in mind like what you want to put on it. Now the ACR isn't really that great of a well, since I don't really have anything unlocked, I'm just going to go over what each proficiency will do. You know, I haven't really used it that much this procedure. I've been sticking to shotguns. But when you are using the ACR or any assault rifle for that matter, you will get these proficiencies. You will get kick, impact, attachments, focus, breath, and stability. So if you are going to be going for an MOAB, you would most likely want to use the specialist strike package. I will go over that later, but first and foremost, when you're using the when you are picking a proficiency, keep in mind, if you're using the specialist bonus, when you get 7 kills using hardline or 8 kills without using hardline, you will get every single proficiency on your weapon aside from 2 attachments. So when picking your proficiency and you're trying to go for an MOAB, I would recommend using 2 attachments no matter what. Just for the simple fact that you'll get kick, you'll get impact, you'll get focus, breath, stability, you'll get all that stuff along with all the perks in the game. So use 2 attachments. That's my personal preference. I think that's the best tip I can give you guys. You know, if you guys like it only with silencer, you know, go ahead, use a silencer and a heartbeat sensor. You know, you're not going to be that much of a noob just for using it, and if it helps you get an MOAB, it doesn't matter. You know, I've used heartbeat sensors to get MOABs, no one really cares, so I would use 2 attachments. Now obviously there are many different attachments to pick from when using an assault rifle. Now obviously if you do not like the iron sights, I would stick to a red dot sight just so you have that clear cut lens, you know, you can really pinpoint your target at long ranges and just have a clear shot. If you are fine with the iron sights, I would recommend using a silencer just for the simple fact that it keeps you off the radar. Now, I know the damage output gets lowered or dropped over range, it doesn't do as much damage, but I think the output of not being able to be seen on the radar is much greater a reward than, having to put an extra bullet into them at far distances. Now, obviously, there are so many attachments you can choose from. I would stay away from the grenade launcher. What's that good for? 2 kills, and if people are using blast shield, they can survive it. ACOG scope just seems to bounce around a lot, so I wouldn't really tend to use that. Heartbeat sensor, if you're using 2 attachments, the best 2 attachments I would recommend you guys use would either be the red dot sight, the silencer combo, or the silencer and heartbeat sensor combo. And if you don't like red dot sight, use holographic and silencer. It's personal preference, honestly, guys. I just said holographic sight. The shotgun attachment, don't use it. Not that good. Not a good choice. Just stay away from that, trust me. The hybrid sight. Now, I know a lot of people seem to like the hybrid sight, but honestly, it's not good for what it does. So, you have a holographic sight and an ACOG sight, both on your weapon at the same time, but you have to press left on your D-pad, I think, if you're on Xbox, and left if you're on PS3, and that takes, I think, a second or two, and while you're switching from ACOG to holographic sight, you could possibly get killed, so I would just tend to stay away from hybrid sight. Also, it seems to have a lot more recoil than a normal holographic or a normal ACOG sight. Extended mags, that's another great combo, slap on extended mags and silencer, red dot and extended mags, those are great. So, and the thermal sight, stay away from that, not good. So basically, the only 4 I would recommend would be the red dot, the silencer attachment, the heartbeat sensor, holographic sight. If you are in between red dot and holographic, those count as basically the same, it's just personal preference, or the extended mags. Those are the 4 or 5 attachments I would recommend using when going for an MOAB. Keep in mind, you want to use 2 attachments, and you want to use what suits well, what you're comfortable with, guys. Don't just use whatever a commentator is telling you to use, because not everybody likes the same weapons in the game. So, going onward, obviously, the camo doesn't really matter, it's whatever you think looks best, and that's basically it. So when choosing secondaries, what I like to do, honestly, the handguns switch out a lot faster than any other ones, but they don't give you as much bang for your buck when using them. And I would stay away from the launchers. They're not good for if you're going for an MOAB. You're not going to be pulling out a Stinger missile and shooting down helicopters when you're on an MOAB streak. So just stay away from them completely. Now, this is where you want to go. You want to go to the machine pistol section. This is where you are going to be picking your secondary weapon. Now, my personal favorite secondary weapons are the MP9. This is very good. It's basically like a submachine gun, and it works just as well as it. It's basically having a secondary submachine gun without using overkill. Really great balanced weapon. Also, the Scorpion is another great choice, but I would not recommend using it just for the simple fact that if you are using a silencer, or let me see the attachment, silencer, red dot, holographic, those seem to have a lot of recoil. So if you're going to use a Scorpion, be sure to use a Kimbo. And if you feel like being a little newbie, go ahead and use the Kimbo FMG9s. I've been messing around with those, really great guns. So that's it for your weapon choices, guys. And also, I only went over the assault rifles, but basically the same rules apply to all the other weapon categories. You want to stick to whatever you feel the most comfortable with, but I'll just briefly go over what I think is best in each class. Now, obviously, for the submachine guns, I think the MP7 works the best, PP90 a very close second, and the P90 the third best. I would stay away from the PM9, the UMP, and the MP5. Light machine guns, don't use them. You run very slow, have very high recoil, they have high damage, but you are not going to be very maneuverable around the map, so just stay away from light machine guns when going for an MOAB if you're just trying to go for one. Sniper rifles, stay away from them as well. Sniper rifles are not the most versatile of weapons unless you are the best quickscoper in the world, which chances are you are not. Stay away from sniper rifles, not very good. Shotguns, the shotguns are decent. I've actually gotten MOABs using the striker before. It's very good, but the shotguns don't seem to work as well unless you have either the damage proficiency on most of them or the range proficiency. I know on console there's still the extended mag glitch out there, which gives you extra pellets, for those of you who don't know, which basically gives you stopping power. Oh, this is very important. I almost forgot to say this. So, when you are using a shotgun and you're using the specialist strike bonus, I almost said bonage, you want to use the damage proficiency. The reason you want to do that is because when you are using the specialist strike bonus, and it's just like using a normal gun. When you get the specialist strike bonus and you get all the attachments or all the proficiencies on your weapon, the only one you will not get for your shotgun is damage. You will get range, you will get melee, well, obviously you won't get 2 attachments, but you'll get focus and kick. You'll get all of them except for damage. So if you're going for an MOAB with the shotgun, I wouldn't really recommend running around with the shotgun trying to go for an MOAB if it's your first time trying to get one, but use damage. So, moving on to your perks and equipment slots that you want to be using. Now, obviously, this is just personal preference. Again, this is all preference. I'm just trying to give you guys tips on how to do better at getting an MOAB. So, I would recommend using the Claymore, just for the simple fact that it can watch your back when you're trying to kill people from the front. Like, if you're getting flanked from multiple angles, the Claymore is just very, very handy. Secondly, the Bouncing Betty, that's a good choice. The reason I like the Claymore better than the Bouncing Betty is simply for the fact that people can't avoid it as easily. The Bouncing Betty, if you guys didn't know, you can just prone as soon as it flies up into air and it'll avoid you, you know, you won't die. So stick between the Claymore and I would say Semtex or Frag, you know, if you just want to be running around, which I wouldn't recommend when going for an MOAB, stick to either a Frag, Semtex, or a Claymore. Now, when using your tactical grenades or your tactical equipment slot, I personally like to use the portable radar. Simply for the fact that when you use the portable radar, people, when they don't use assassin, they show up on the portable radar, which means they're basically like a free kill. It's your own little personal UAV, and it also gives UAV to your team. They can see the enemies around you, and also you can like basically have wall hacks with it. That's what I use it for. Like, I'll throw it around corners, and if a red dot goes off, I know there's a guy around the corner, you know, throw a little and just run around the corner. I was about to say throw a stun, but then I realized that the portable radar takes up the stunned grenade spots. That wouldn't have been the smartest thing to say. But stick to portable radar. You know, trophy system is kind of handy, but you're not going to be using it as much. And flash and concussion grenades, all this stuff, you only have 2 of them. So once you throw those 2, you're basically out of luck. And the portable radar, you can throw it around the corner. If no one's there, pick it back up, run around another corner, throw it again. So I would stick to the portable radar. Now, when picking your perks, this is honestly this is going to be very biased because it's going to be my personal, it's basically what I think you all should use when going for an MOAB. Now, you have these 5 perks. You have Recon, Sleight of Hand, Blind Eye, Extreme Conditioning, and Scavenger. Now, Recon is not the greatest of perks. I would stay away from this just for the simple fact that since you're using the portable radar, the explosive damage won't paint them, and since you're using the Claymore, basically the Claymore will kill them, so this would just be a waste of a perk slot. Stay away from Recon. Sleight of Hand, that is my personal favorite starting tier 1 perk when trying to go for an MOAB. Sleight of Hand is the most versatile. It gives you faster reloading, and if you're caught with no ammo in your weapon and you have Sleight of Hand Pro, you can quickly switch over to your Akimbo FMG9, Scorpion, whatever you chose, quickly and finish off the guy. Blind Eye, wouldn't really recommend it because if you're going to be, you're most likely gonna be inside a building when going for an MOAB, so helicopters won't even be able to shoot you most likely. So Blind Eye, just stay away from that. Extreme Conditioning, if you're going for an MOAB and you're playing really defensively, which I do recommend, I would not recommend this because you're not gonna be sprinting around a lot. Sorry, I just burped there, guys. But you're not going to be running around a lot, so don't use Extreme Conditioning, not the greatest choice. Scavenger, you know, it's great and all, but when you're using Scavenger, you're going to have to run out over the person's dead body after you kill them. And I know some people have like OCD, you know, I kind of have it too, guys. Like, when I kill someone and they're in the middle of the map and they drop the Scavenger bag, I'm like, oh, I gotta go pick up that Scavenger bag, man. I gotta go pick it up, you know. So stay away from Scavenger. If, you know, it's going to make you run out into the middle and get killed. Just stay away from it. I recommend Sleight of Hand Pro, greatest perk 2, perk 1 slot, my bad. So when picking your tier 2 perk, there's Quick Draw, there's Blast Shield, Hardline, Assassin, and Overkill. Now, Quick Draw is a really great perk, but when going for an MOAB, I do not recommend it, just for the simple fact that Hardline is going to be the greatest choice, and I'll explain that later. Now, Quick Draw does give you faster aiming, and you do recover from equipment usage faster, which is great and all, but, you know, it's not really as useful as the other perk would be. So Blast Shield is good. You know, I think Blast Shield isn't really as great as it used to be in other games, you know. It wasn't as good as Flak Jacket and Black Ops, you know, it doesn't protect you fully from explosives and stuff, but, you know, if you want to use Blast Shield, go ahead, but I wouldn't recommend it. So Hardline. Hardline is definitely the greatest tier 2 perk when going for an MOAB. The reason you want to use Hardline is because you are going to be using the Specialist Strike bonus. Now if you do not use Hardline when using the Specialist Strike bonus, you usually would get your perks at, your first perk you would get at 2 kills, your second perk you would get at 4 kills, and your third perk you would get at 6 kills. Now, 6 kills, and then you get the Specialist Strike bonus at 8 kills. I don't know why I keep saying bonage. But now when using Hardline, basically it works for Specialist Strike bonus also. I don't know why people don't use Hardline, but I would recommend using Hardline because then that would make it 1 kill, 3 kills, 5 kills, and then 7 kills, and you turn into a super soldier. And the faster you turn into a super soldier, the more likely you are going to be able to get an MOAB. Now third perk. Since I have a headset, I just like using Dead Silence Pro. Honestly, none of the third perk really matter. You know, really this is where you can be the most freelance with it. You know, it's basically the individual person. This is where, you know, it doesn't really matter. I can't tell you what to use. You know, it's honestly what you want to use. But since I have a headset, I like using Dead Silence. You know, steady aim is really good and all. Sit rep, don't really recommend it. Stalker is great and all, but you know, most likely when you're aiming outside, it actually tends to mess up my aim more than it actually helps. And marksman is good if you're using like an assault rifle, but I just like to stick to Dead Silence. So onto the Specialist Strike bonus. So you see all these perks. Now obviously you have sleight of hand picked, you have Hardline and Dead Silence picked, so you can't pick them in your Specialist Strike bonus. You guys have gotten here this far in this video and you guys are wondering, so Nacho, what perks am I supposed to use in the Specialist Strike bonus so I can actually try to get an MOAB and turn into a super soldier faster? Well, this is all, like I've been saying the past like 20 minutes, it's all personal preference, guys. So what I like to do, honestly, is I like to start out the first one with Assassin. The reason you want to start off with Assassin is because you are most likely going to be using a silencer on your weapon. So after you get 1 kill, you will have Assassin, and if the enemy calls in UAVs or they throw portable radars, you're immune to thermal and heartbeat sensors. You know, you're immune to a bunch of little things that could end your streak really quickly. So I would recommend starting out with Assassin. So I'm gonna try to wrap up this video, guys, because it's coming close to 20 minutes. I want to get this first episode done. So the second one that I like to use is Blind Eye. Now reason, I know earlier in the video I said, oh Nacho, but we're gonna be inside buildings, why do we need Blind Eye? But after you've killed a couple of people like 3 or 4 times, they're going to get wary of where you're at, and they're going to be rushing you hardcore, trying to get you off of that building. So when you're going to be running through the middle of the map and there's a helicopter, let's say per se, you know, there might be a helicopter, I'm not saying there will be, but there might. Blind Eye would just help with that, so you can run from building to building without being shot by enemy air support. And last but not least, the last perk that I like to use when using the Specialist Strike bonus is Quick Draw, just so you can get the faster aim down sight. And that's basically it, guys. I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode. And you know, like Death Streak, you guys might be wondering, I just like to use Final Stand. You know, it doesn't really matter. You're not gonna be going on a Death Streak when you're going for an MOAB. So I hope you guys have enjoyed this first episode of how to get an MOAB in depth. If you guys have actually been watching this video, I thank you guys for watching the video. My next video will be, I think, explaining game types to play and how to play game types, or how to play them specifically to get MOABs. So I hope you guys have enjoyed the first episode of how to get an MOAB. I hope this has helped you guys with the creative class suggestions. If it did, be sure to leave a comment. If you guys want me to continue this series, be sure to also leave it a thumbs up. And if you guys have not already, come over and check out my channel, because I'm going to be posting this also on TGN FPS. So if you guys are watching it there, be sure to come check out my channel. It will be in the description. Other than that, guys, I thank you guys for watching the video. Peace out, guys.
This video is part of the Way movement, a career path for YouTubers. To learn more, visit tgn.tv.